we play a game?
Why, yes, I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Hey there, everybody. It's Shane Plays Geek Talk, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks so much for listening, whether you're listening over the air in the Little Rock, Central Arkansas metro area on 96.5 FM The Answer, or if you're listening on the online stream at 96.5fmtheanswer.com, or if you're listening by the podcast or Krypton radio version. I'm just so glad to have you tune in. Got a great show as usual today. I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a second. I did want to mention today is not a live show. This is pre-recorded. If you're listening to the podcast or Krypton radio version, then you can find the show notes for this show at shaneplays.com. That's ShanePlays.com. Speaking of shaneplays.com, you can find the podcast version of the show always archived there. Plus, we go out on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and many other fine podcast directories, including you can find us on YouTube, on the Shane Plays YouTube channel. More and more people are starting to listen that way. Last, but never, ever least, Shane Plays is carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, kryptonradio.com. We are played a week delayed on Saturdays and Mondays on Krypton Radio. And don't forget to check out last week's show, which was fantasy author Jeremy Morphus. And we also talked a lot about Lovecraft and Cthulhu and shared some Lovecraft trivia. So that was a lot of fun. So go check that out. Shane Plays sponsor, Arkansas RPG Con 2018. Badge sales are now open. Vendor and sponsorship options are also open. Go to arpgcon.com for more info. And make sure to follow Arkansas RPG Con on Facebook. Okay, so today's show, I'm going to jump right on in there because we got a lot of ground to cover. It is Star Trek Continues. It's the Star Trek Continues Wrap Party show. You may remember that Star Trek Continues recently ended its 11-episode run where they basically did the 4th season of the original Star Trek series and along the way gained the respect of critics and fans alike. So what we're going to do today, we have 2 surprise cast members of Star Trek Continues joining us, and we're going to talk about what it was like to work on the show, what maybe they're going to do next. We're going to get some feedback and goodbyes and farewells and love from various fans out there that sent it in to me over social media. We may also talk about which of these cast members hopes for a Star Trek fan series channel. We'll talk about optimism and its place in Trek. What are these cast members' dream projects? And some other stuff that came up was cryptocurrency, blockchain, morality-based science, and will we need lawyers in the future? But don't worry, there's plenty of Star Trek and Star Trek Continues discussion, including these cast members' favorite episodes of Star Trek Continues. So we're going to go ahead and jump in right now. And here we go with the Star Trek Continues Wrap Party. All right, so the super secret surprise cast members of Star Trek Continues for this Star Trek Continues Wrap Party are, of course, well, not of course, but I'm introduce them now. That giggle that you heard is a big clue. We have Michele Specht, Dr. McKennah herself. Hello, Michele. Thanks so much for joining us all the way from the amazing wonderland of Los Angeles by the magic of Skype. And we also have Bones himself.
Yes.
Yeah. Chuck Hüber from all the way from Dallas. So
Fort Worth, thank you very much. I'm on
Fort Worth.
the nice side of the Metroplex.
All right.
No offense to my Dallas friends, but they know it.
All right. So we've got what we're doing here. And again, thank you to both of you for making time to join me. Many people, including myself, really enjoyed Star Trek Continues, which was, of course, the basically a fan film production, if you will, of the final season of the original series of Star Trek, if Star Trek had gotten that final 4th season. And you literally started in your first episode with the scene immediately following the final scene in the Turnabout Intruder. And
that's right.
And then you went just right from there. And then your final two-parter led and bridged into the motion picture in a very, very well done way. So, along the way, you gained more and more of the Star Trek fandom's respect. And so what I want to do is, as we're standing here in the sound stage, we're actually looking around. They're actually breaking down the set right now, and people are chatting, and it's bittersweet, and people are hugging and, promising to keep in touch and all that good stuff. So I just want to take a few minutes here at the end and, kind of send Star Trek Continues off with some goodbyes and some love, and to thank you for what you did. And if you have any sort of final thoughts that you wanted to share to the fandom or to your fellow castmates or whatever, then this would be a wonderful time to do so. So it's just kind of a wrap party without the excess and without the police showing up, hopefully. So
I don't think that happened. I don't think our rap party was that crazy.
No, thank goodness. It could have gone sideways.
There was some dancing at one point. I do remember dancing.
Well, there were
conga lines. I'm not ashamed to say it. A lot of conga lines.
There
were.
was Romulan.
Yeah, there were.
Well, Bones, did you not break out your secret stash of Romulan Ale for medicinal purposes?
Actually, I don't think during the rap party I was drinking. I think I was teetotaling it at that point.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
So I didn't have any secret stash. Although if I could try Romulan, I would try that ale, man. I would drink it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like blue, right? It was like Romulan Ale was blue. All right. I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do here as we get going, we now have, in addition to the bad joke of the week, we have the patent pending Shane Plays icebreaker question. So I'm going to ask you both of this icebreaker question, and then we will get right into, asking some questions about Star Trek Continues. And I have a veritable cornucopia of fond goodbyes and farewells to you from your fans. Aww. So we'll be reading some of those as well. So I'm going to kick this question over to Michele first, and then Chuck, you can answer it after that. Michele, do you collect anything?
Do I collect anything?
Mm-hmm.
Outside of secrets and regrets?
How does one exactly line? Well, I would be curious. How do you display secrets and regrets in a curio cabinet?
Oh, you don't. You whittle them away in a secret little treasure chest in your mind.
And then you weep bitter tears every night before bed. All right.
Yes, they're housed in a coiled spring of rage, willing to let go at any time.
All right. So I'm gonna put Michele down for a no on collecting.
The only thing that I do have in collection are like the amazing handmade things that fans have brought me, which I myself could never have like thought or have the creativity or the skill level to do, but they themselves have done. So I have like I have a Dr. McKennah action figure in Dr. McKennah action figure packaging. I have little like dolls, little remade Kittle dolls from the 60s of Dr. McKennah. I've got artwork. I've got beautiful paintings. I have that kind of stuff. That I have.
Very nice. That is really super cool, because I mean, you can't just go get that stuff at the store. You can't even get that through the Danbury Mint. I mean, that's big stuff. So, well, cool. That's really good. What about you, Chuck? Do you collect anything?
I have 7 children, so I guess we collect children. Jessica wants a couple more too.
Does she really?
Yeah, she wants to order some mail order children. She wants to get children that don't have homes, and like she wants to, she's like, we're good at this. Why don't we take in a couple that need a place to live? And I'm like, can we finish paying off your car first?
Yeah. Can we get beyond eating ramen every night first? And
that's
cool.
Okay. We do, but I do, along with like Michele, I save all the stuff that the fans make for us. Any beautiful thing. I have actually one fan handmade a combo. One of my anime characters is named Hiei from a show, Yu Yu Hakusho, made a combo stuffed Hiei / Bones. So it's sort of like a Hiei Bones action figure, and that's next to a bunch of other stuff that I've gotten. And we got to take, I took, the little handles in the transporter room. They had extra ones of those that they gave to all of us. So I have that. That sits on my desk. I
didn't get one of those.
You didn't? I think I have 2. I can send you one.
Well, here's what I want to know. Bones, Chuck Hüber, Bones himself. Did you get to keep the little thimble that has the TV static inside of it when you run it up and, and it goes, and it has you didn't? You didn't get to keep the scanny thing?
No, they don't let us. They that's all still, part of the that's stuff. Part of the. Okay. Yeah, because I mean the whole set and everything is essentially now it's a museum quality piece that which needs to live forever intact and in and of itself. So
in all of its Technicolor glory.
That's right.
Yes, I love Technicolor. I love those bold colors. I did want to ask Michele, I think, because you've been on the show before, both of you, and I appreciate that. Michele, I think if it was you, I remember correctly telling me that when y'all would get together to do an episode of Star Trek Continues, people would come in from all over the country, and it was almost like going to camp for like a week. And then you would film.
Exactly what it was like. Yes.
Yeah. So what was it like, real quick? Like, I mean, was the script already written, or, I mean, how much improvisation, or once you showed up, it was ready to, what was it like to do an episode of Star Trek Continues?
Well, I think Chuck will agree. Everything, this ran itself more and more so with each and every episode, like a professional production. So no, everything, all of pre-production was done before we ever arrived.
Right.
There is a team of people on the production crew that takes care of all of that before we actually get there. There is a lot of work that is done beforehand. There's a heck of a lot of work done on set, and there's a heck of a lot of work done after we're done shooting. Right. So there was not. I mean, we would have a lot of fun in between takes, and we would sometimes improvise at the end of takes. Right. But everything was run very much and often better than most professional sets out there.
Oh, wow. Well, I could every show, whether it's quote unquote a professional show or some other type of production, as it goes along, they'll get their legs more and more under them. But Star Trek Continues came out of the gate strong, with Pilgrim of Eternity. And I don't want to take away from any of the episodes because they were all good, but it just, you kept curving upwards and upwards with what you were putting out. And, I think I've told people that at some point down the road, there's kids who won't know the difference if it's Star Trek Continues on or the original series, if it's on the TV or whatever. That's just Star Trek, so, congratulations again on what, you achieved. So, okay, so
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Well, my goodness, you're welcome. So, and again, I liked all of the episodes. I don't want to take away from anything, but there was, for me personally, I could tell that the experience that you were all getting working together, kept kind of coalescing together and getting better and better. So, okay, so I've got some love for you for some fans. And then I've got, here comes love.
Aww.
Love via subspace. So we're going to start it off with, this is actually a friend of mine. I got a lot of stuff, people, I don't even know who they are. I just said, hey, I'm going to be talking to Star Trek Continues, and people sent in questions and comments. But I got Calvin Roach is a friend of mine, and he emailed, and here's what he said. He said, I really can't express how much I've enjoyed the episodes you put together. He said they all captured the look and spirit of the original series perfectly. The episodes were compelling and thought-provoking, just as Roddenberry had intended. I've given up television for a while, but I looked forward very much for the release of new episodes of Star Trek Continues. I would watch them on YouTube on my television, sometimes more than once. Your show, which was made by fans for fans, will continue to be enjoyed over and over. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. Live long and prosper, Calvin Roach. So there's
Wow. Thank you, Calvin.
Yeah. So
thank you, Calvin.
Yeah. So, and I got a couple more here. We have several that I'll sprinkle throughout our time together. Another friend of mine, Thomas Kreufel, said on Google Plus, he said, I love the final few shows that had the original ended without being canceled. This is how it should have ended. So,
wow.
And a lot of people have that same feeling. And then I got a comment from Axel M. Bajirk, I think I said that right, on the Shane Plays Facebook page. And this said, Star Trek Continues is, I think, better than the original, at least at its peaks. Such lovely, calm atmosphere, intriguing dialogue, and that good old Star Trek feeling. So, yay! So there you go.
Yeah.
So, and
yeah.
I'm guessing that, like, when you get emails or on Twitter or go to cons or that sort of thing, do you get that kind of feedback a lot?
Yes. Do you, Chuck? Because I sure do.
Yeah, for sure. If you would have asked me when I was younger that I would be as an actor, part of the Star Trek fandom, I would have laughed and thought that was impossible. And to have been accepted by the fandom as Dr. McCoy is, an honor, and I'm always overwhelmed by the idea of it, and still to this day kind of don't really understand it. I'm like, wow. Right. I think when I get older, and when I'm a grandpa and my grandchildren are discovering Star Trek, I think it'll maybe resonate a little better for me then. But yeah, it's been a privilege and an honor, and something that I still hope that one day there'll be the Christmas reunion show we do or something. I don't know.
Yaki, you could do the filler show where you go, do you remember that time when, and then the screen shimmers and you show a scene from it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we should definitely say, because it is possible, Chuck, because we should mention, you were talking in the beginning about like a situation of like sets breaking down and us saying goodbye. And I just want to make sure people know the sets are not going anywhere. Nice. They are still standing, and they will remain so for a very long time. So there's no worries on that end. So there is always the possibility, if at any point in time that becomes a feasible option, and we're all, every single one of us is looking for something to do and wants to have a reunion, I don't know. Who knows what will happen in the future? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? So do you think on the set, when you were doing these episodes, I'm like, if I was there, I would do this. Do you think at some time or another, like every member of the cast and crew, when nobody was around, kind of just sat on that captain's chair in the bridge and kind of looked around? You know what I mean? That kind of.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But like
we did it whether people were looking or not.
It's like,
it's kind of a ritual that had to happen every time you got on set. Was like, when's my turn in the chair?
Yeah,
you didn't want to be rude about it. You didn't want to interrupt a take or anything. But like, if there was downtime and they were relighting, it was like, because there aren't a lot of chairs around the outside of the set, not a lot of actual places to sit. Right. So the captain's chair was actually a really comfortable and cool place to sit. So if the scene wasn't being shot there and I could go, beeline for that chair and just chill there for a minute, it was pretty powerful.
It's like, you're in the middle of a scene. You're like, make it snappy, Vic. I want to sit down. I don't guess anybody ever did that though, right? Nobody ever, they might've thought it, but they didn't say it out loud, huh?
Oh no, we say what we want out loud to each other all the time. It is definitely, we knew our roles. We knew who was in charge of different parts of what was going on, but we were all definitely a family, and brothers and sisters, they don't care who's in charge. They'll still tell you got a booger.
Yeah. Hey,
exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Kirk, you got a booger. Dang it. So, all right. Why didn't somebody tell me? All right. On that note, we're going to cut to a short break, and then we'll be back with more from Michele Specht and Chuck Hüber of Star Trek Continues, including what their personal favorite episodes are. Stay tuned on Shane Plays Geek Talk.
And now it's time to give a little love to one of our sponsors. Some Goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located at 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees. For all of your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers, mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Tell them Shane Plays sent you. Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today. The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, we're back on Shane Plays Geek Talk, a journey into the things we love. We're talking with Chuck Hüber, who plays Bones, and Michele Specht, who plays Dr. McKennah, as we continue, if you'll pardon the pun, with the Star Trek Continues Wrap Party. Okay, so let me ask you this real quick. I mean, do you, and I understand, you know, when you ask stuff like people are like, they're all my favorites or whatever, but do you have a favorite episode or an episode that you connected with in particular?
I loved all the episodes. There wasn't an episode that I did not thoroughly enjoy, but I would have to say just from everything we got to do in the episode and the writing in it and the fact that it was kind of focused on the relationship between Kirk and McCoy. Divided We Stand was probably the you know, it's where I got to do a lot on screen, and the story was revolving, and I got to chop Kirk's leg off. Spoiler.
I know, it was so cool.
How often do you get to do that?
Awesome.
Yeah,
no, that doesn't happen.
I suspected you might say "Divided We Stand." I didn't want to presume, but yeah, that was a great Bones-centric episode. What about you, Michele? Did you have a Like an episode that just for whatever reason connected with you on some level, maybe more than other ones, or did you have a favorite episode? Okay.
A few, just in the totality of the show and kind of what it represented and what it meant. The last 2 episodes, I think, were so profoundly amazing in the way that they tied up this incredibly important and monumentally far-reaching show in a way that it got an ending it never had. And I think it was done beautifully. And I think it tied up all the stories and character lines so incredibly beautifully. That 2-part finale, just in the size and scope of it, to me, just are kind of just, and I'm just a small part of this, the enormity of what it is. I just think they're incredibly beautiful. But as far as individual episodes, I think 2, maybe 3 really always will stand out to me. What Ships Are For, which is episode number 9.
Fantastic episode. Fantastic.
I think, it's unbelievable. That script, written by Kipley Brown, who plays Lieutenant Smith, is just so freaking Trek. It is so Trek. It so beautifully encapsulates what has been life-changing to me and what just warms my heart about being a Trek fan myself. That to me just is such a beautiful representation. And the performances are amazing. The ideas are amazing. The ethical dilemma is amazing. The lessons that it teaches us are amazing. I just love that episode. Number 2, Lolani, I have a really beautiful connection with just because of the subject matter. I think it was beautifully shown from a number of different positions, which Star Trek does at its best. It shows a lot of different points of view and the reasoning behind them. But I just found it really incredibly moving. I just thought that episode was just really beautiful. So that one as well.
That one's good. And of course you got to hang out with the Incredible Hulk, which never hurts. So
I know. And he's such a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
He's such a teddy bear. Lou Ferrigno is just a big old teddy bear.
Yeah. Really nice guy. For sure. Yeah,
that was really a nice surprise when he shows up on the transporter pad on that. So, but yeah.
And episode 6, I think, was so fun. It was so fun, and that the creature of Usti and the character of who he was, like who we get to know him to be, was so beautiful and touching. And we all got to fight each other, which was awesome.
Now, that was an amazing episode because they pulled off the design of Usti. It's Usti, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and I always joke around from Dune. I was like, tell me of your homeworld, Usti, instead of Usul bit. But anyway, I loved that episode because they did this incredible creature design for Usti, and they had it moving around and it looked great, but they also made it look like it could have been done with the techniques and materials of the original series era. You know, like they didn't, whoever
we're not going to do a CGI.
Exactly.
You know, it's going to be a dude in a suit. It just happens to be an incredibly beautiful and well-made and amazing suit.
It was.
They, our art director, Greg, was in charge of that design, and he, the only sort of upgraded, and this is background and from the only sort of upgraded thing, because he used basically the techniques. He used probably better materials than they had back then, but essentially the same forms and way of forming a character like that. But there were little cameras inside so that the actor inside could see in front and behind them more clearly. So they wouldn't have had that technology back then. So there's a little bit of high tech on the inside, but the outside was definitely straight out of the original Trek.
Well, I'm a big fan of one of the reasons that I loved Fury Road, the Mad Max movie, and then also what J.J. Abrams and them are doing with the new Star Wars movies is going back to a lot more practical effects and props and that sort of thing, because it just gives a reality or something that CGI is hard to do. But everybody involved with the entire production of all the series or all the episodes. But the Usti for Come Not Between the Dragons was great. And of course that had, and I'm not even going to try to say it because I always mess up her name, but she's the fine actress from Farscape and
Gigi Edgley.
Yeah, there you go, Gigi Edgley. Now, Michelle, I just saw on Twitter. Were you not like at a Women of Sci-Fi thing with her recently? Okay,
I spent the whole weekend with that awesome lady.
Cool.
As well as some other awesome ladies from Sci-Fi. We were at Gallifrey 1 together on Saturday, and then on Sunday we were at Long Beach Comic Expo, and we did a whole featured panel and discussion about women in sci-fi, and it was wonderful to kind of talk through the evolution of female roles from the past into the present, kind of what's going on in the entertainment business now, as far as female creators and performers. It was really wonderful. So I got to spend the whole weekend with her. She's here in LA, and she's a ball.
Fun. Yeah, very cool. So, it looked like y'all were having fun in those pictures. So, I've got a little bit more love for you from the fandom, if you're ready. From the fandom. Okay, so this is He Who Laughs Best on Twitter. And actually, either of you y'all can choose to say, well, I'm not going to answer that, because he sent in a message or a question specifically for Vic. Okay. But
I can answer for Vic.
Okay, well, after you get the question, you may be like, I don't know. So this is for Vic, and like I said, you may be like, maybe Vic should have to answer this or would want to answer this. But he said, Star Trek Continues is interesting to my agnostic self, repurposing a Greek god as a Christ for another planet. He said, please talk about how you saw the show as a Christian yourself.
I have no problem answering that. I mean, okay. I think that because I was raised as a Christian, I still very much follow the teachings of Christ. I am not what you would consider a regular, most Christians wouldn't own me.
Okay.
I own you, Chuck.
I know you do. So the great thing about Star Trek is that it finds the true morality in science, something that is missing a lot of times in our economically driven science, where science is driven through economics and not through moral virtue or goodness or highest purpose. So the idea of Star Trek, it really is, if Jesus were a dude, he would definitely be a dude in favor of Star Trek. On the planet, he would be like, this is the way science needs to go. And most true scientists believe that too. And unfortunately, they have to do this thing called feed their families.
Right.
And, so they have to. Yeah.
The ideals hit the rubber meets the road, and your ideals.
It's the same thing. And I honestly believe that blockchain and the internet and everything that's happening with the world is leading us towards an economic reality that will eventually emerge to where people will be following their best purpose instead of needing to follow different paths so that they can just keep food on the table.
Absolutely.
I think that's where we're headed.
Well, I think, and I'm going to, if Michelle wants to speak to this, she can as well. I just wanted to say real quick, you mentioned blockchain, and I've been doing a pretty deep dive recently on cryptocurrency and blockchain, and there's so much fascinating stuff there beyond just, most people are like, I want to buy Bitcoin and get rich. They're missing the point. There's some really amazing stuff going on from a privacy and trustworthy transaction standpoint.
I'm fascinated with the idea of smart contracts, the way that seems to me like what Star Trek would have had, and in terms of where you will not need lawyers in the future because the contracts will be programmed, so that you could have someone in Zimbabwe selling their wares to a merchant in New York. And the contract would be crystallized in the blockchain, so that there was no, and the economics of it would be crystallized in the blockchain, so there's no way to defraud each other.
Right.
It's a really interesting future in terms of that.
That ledger would be on thousands of computers to be verified at any point. So it's amazing.
The agreements in the contract would be executed automatically. So it's interesting for food safety and for voting. I'm interested in it for voting, especially. I think that'll be a really very important step in our democratic process.
There's so many. Yeah, I think blockchain is going to end up being the bigger story than actual just cryptocurrency. But
for sure,
since we're talking Star Trek, I could talk about this all day right now, and I'm probably going to do it. I'm going to do a show about it in the future. You'd be welcome to come on and talk about blockchain with me if you'd like.
Sure, I could talk about it all day long.
Yeah, I will make a note of that. Michele, did you have anything you wanted to add to the question?
I can speak from my own place as a Christian.
Okay.
How can I say this succinctly? I agree with Chuck that science based from a moral code will always be the science that I ultimately will be interested in. That's what I love about Star Trek. We're looking to better our world, better humanity, better our role in it, better the way that we relate to each other and our planet, as well as the universe. So from that standpoint, I think all of those, whether you're a person of faith or not, that's ultimately what we're striving for.
Right.
So whatever the motivation is within you to seek that, I think it's well supported and well encouraged within the world of Star Trek.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that one of the things that appeals to me about Star Trek, especially the original series and, some of the core incarnations of Star Trek, is just the pure optimism, and we're going to do this together for the betterment. We want, like they weren't, even though it was an adventure show and, they would have phasers and ships fighting each other. If they were explorers first, right, and they were, the technology was used in a very beneficial manner, and is what's good for everybody. And so I just love the optimism of Star Trek and the ideals and values of Starfleet. And I don't talk about this on my show a lot, but I'm a Christian myself, and I agree. I think Star Trek and geekdom. There's a lot of stuff that people can come together from various backgrounds and still enjoy the ideals and the ideologies and the things that are in certain geek things. That's one of the reasons I do my show. It's like, look, let's leave the real world with all its craziness outside for an hour and let's just have some fun. So,
but ideally it wouldn't be outside of the real world. And that's why I love Star Trek more than most sci-fi amalgamations and franchises, because there is something to be said. I think a key word and a key element that is within Star Trek versus what we're seeing being produced now or in previous versions of Star Trek universe or sci-fi universes is the element of hope. Mm-hmm. I mean, what you are looking at when you look at Star Trek is almost a personal. I mean, that's why it means so much to people, I think. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of dystopic views of of humanity and its future out there. And they are engaging and they are entertaining. But why I am so drawn to Star Trek and why I feel so personally invested in it is because it's a reflection of the way that I want to view humanity and our future, which is with hope. I want to believe, and I do believe, that we can become better versions of ourselves.
Right.
I believe that science and technology can actually be used for the betterment of us instead of the, economic use of us. I have that hope. And I think people that are attracted to Star Trek have that element to their personality and to their worldview and to their outlook.
Very incredibly well said. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Star Trek has endured for 50 years. Because it's not just sci-fi. It is hope. It is optimism. It presents a hopeful ideal, of what we can be. So yeah, very well said, Michele. Okay, before we move on, anybody else, any final thoughts on the philosophy Star Trek? And that's one of the amazing things about Star Trek. It transcended being entertainment, right?
Oh, very much so.
It's not just a TV show. There's literally, I don't know. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Okay. All right. So I have some more fan love for you.
Yay! Fan love!
Love. All right. Ricardo Banfi, who is R Banfi on Twitter, RBANFFY, said, "You'll be missed, guys. What you did was truly special. Can we convince CBS to allow one more season?" I don't know.
Please. Please.
I would watch it. I don't know.
Listen, I lobbied hard for the idea that CBS should start a fan series channel so that they would have a channel that was filled with all their fan series. Right. But the complications of it are that the rights are owned by Paramount, CBS, and like movie rights are one, and the television broadcast
Paramount has the movie, and CBS has the TV rights.
So it becomes like it's a legal complication. It's not emotional or fan complication. It's simply a legal complication. It could be solved between the two, but that would take giant corporations working together. But yeah, if CBS would write a check and say make 12 more episodes, we would. I feel certain that everybody would be like, oh heck yeah, we'll do it.
Oh heck yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And I love how when with episode 10 and 11 with To Boldly Go, part 1 and part 2, not only were you able, as a collective whole, to tie the final episode into the first episode, up to and including playing off a moment from how many years ago? 50 years ago, where one of the cast members in the original episode touched another cast member.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Talk about a deep cut. So you were able to circle back and tie it in, but you also bridged it over to the motion picture. So and did it in a way that didn't feel, forced. So again, good job. Okay, yeah, because I went, what's going on here? And I went and read, I'm like, ooh, I can't believe that they did that. What a nice touch there. So on the
there are Easter eggs throughout those. All of the episodes, tons of Easter eggs.
Yeah, I was really impressed. So yeah, this series definitely bears repeat viewings. Now I have an email here from, this is another friend of mine who's actually been on the show, Richard McBain. He's a mega geek. He said, as a longtime Star Trek fan, I've always enjoyed all forms of the universe of Trek, being able to expand and grow beyond the official canon. Fandom can take many forms, all of which show a love for the source material in question. Star Trek Continues is no exception here. As with every episode, it shows a true love and reverence for the works on which it was based and the overall vision that Gene Roddenberry laid out all those years ago. As a believer in Gene's message, there we go again, it's more than just entertainment. I want to say thank you for creating something that holds fast the idea that the future can be a better place for all humankind.
Yes!
Yay!
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, may your next endeavors bring you as much joy and success as this one has. May you live long and prosper. So LLAP to you from Richard McBain.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. So, you got so many nice comments here. It's just so reflective of people appreciate what you did. For me personally, I was so glad to get Star Trek Continues because it's like a distilled pure essence of what Trek is to me. Right. So I got more of that, and of that just pure unbridled Technicolor optimism. Okay. Yeah. Wow. I used Technicolor twice in one episode. That's, yeah.
Well, you're talking Star Trek. It's entirely
right? Yeah. Okay. And then I knew Hanyu 1701 on Twitter said Star Trek Continues is done ... and they put an animated GIF of a woman crying and saying "I miss you already" in flashing text. So they miss you.
We miss them. We miss them.
Yeah.
And then Ghost Feet and on Twitter is just here for food. That's their handle. It says I'll miss y'all with a whole bunch of exclamation points. And then Peter Chong, who's Peter Chong 10 on Twitter, said, "Thank you, Star Trek Continues, for bringing us back to what Trek was during a time when ideals, dreams, and romance permeated through television. I will definitely miss y'all and hope that we'll meet again someday, perhaps at the next." It looks like they put the Twitter handle for the Star Trek Las Vegas convention, and they gave you the hashtag "Live long and prosper." So
I think I know Peter. I've met Peter.
Okay, cool. Well,
yeah, so hi, Peter. Yes, I'll see you in Vegas in the summer.
He's like, sweet. He's already buying his tickets. He's reserving his room right now. So got a couple more, some more love here, and then we'll wrap with a couple of questions and then let you get back to your regularly scheduled lives. Thanks again for your time and coming on. Got a Jennifer Lynn, who is at Shiny Mouse on Twitter, said, as an avid Star Trek fan, I loved Star Trek Continues. The crew went above and beyond. Michele Specht did a wonderful job as Dr. McKennah, and Vic Mignogna. Is it Mignogna? Is that how you say it?
Mignogna. He says Mignogna.
Okay. Mignogna? All right.
Yeah. He'll answer to anything.
Vic Mignogna said, got Kirk down perfectly. There's so much more praise I want to give everyone, but it would exceed 140 characters. So, yeah, what they would have said if there wasn't the limit on Twitter, Chuck, is that, oh my goodness, that Chuck guy, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. He is the bones of bones. That's what they would have said.
Oh, wow.
That's very sweet.
Wow.
That's very nice.
Yeah, that's what, but no, thank you, Jennifer, for writing in.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer.
Alan V. Cheeseman, who is Cheeseman AV on Twitter, said, many thanks to all the Trek Continues team for, here we go, keeping the dream alive. And then finally, Zetek, who is Zetteke on Twitter, said, thank you from the Netherlands for being a true joy to watch. Brilliant cast, by the way. So There you go. There's some love from the fans to you and your fellow cast members.
That's great.
Yeah, because so many people worked really hard. Okay, I have a couple of questions to wrap up on here, and then we will wrap. We will bring this episode to an end. Do either of you have anything you're working on now that you would like to promote?
Michele, do you have anything? I'm not currently working on much other than my family.
Your family? Your family!
That's pretty
I'm working,
important.
Yeah, doing that, and actually I do trade cryptocurrency during the day, so that's my
okay.
yeah.
That is so cool. I'm going to have to talk to you, Chuck, about that, just to get some education.
Sure. Me and Ruben Langdon, our fight coordinator, he's the one who turned me onto it on the set of Star Trek. So
which
I
is
have
so
Ruben
appropriate.
to thank. Yeah.
He turns you on to credits on the
That's
set of
right.
Star Trek. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So, all right. Well, then, do you have any juicy cryptocurrency tips then?
This is neither financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Full disclosure. Yes, Tron and Electronium. Those would be my two that I'd send people to. Also, Ripple seems cool.
Yeah.
And of course, the big ones, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Those are all good. Neo and Omise Go were both on my radar early, and they have both exploded hugely, bigly, as we're allowed to say now.
Bigly. It has embiggened?
It's embiggened. It's totally embiggened. But
the
whole thing, the whole market is just really fun and interesting. And what I always tell people about cryptocurrency is when you hear these different cryptocurrency names, you just have to think it's 1997 and you're hearing the names of websites for the first time.
It's a very good analogy. Yeah,
that's the only way to see it. It's the only way to understand it.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Tron. This is interesting. The Tron. I actually, and I don't know how I did it or what I'm doing, but I bought a virtual pet shop in China, and I sell virtual dogs to people all over the world.
Well, there you go.
And it actually makes money. It's weird. I don't know how it works.
Man, that is so cool. It is off the blockchain. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Can I take that back?
It's trademark. No, don't take it back. Own it and trademark it.
All right, I'm going to trademark
for sure.
it. All right. And another thing, Chuck, just circumstances, I hated it. I wanted to come by and say hi. You were a guest at Arkansas Comic-Con here in Little Rock over the summer.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't make it out I didn't get to go to the con at all that weekend due to life. I hope you come back so that, I can swing by and so I hope you go back to that con or any other.
Sure. It's a great convention. Little Rock's one of my favorite places. It was fun.
The con scene is really heating up around here. So, all right.
Good.
Yeah.
Michele, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, do you have anything you'd like to promote that you're maybe working on?
I'm back again in Star Trek Online with this really cool character in their new release that's all DS9 centered.
Groovy.
And I'm voicing Loris, and it's awesome and wonderful. And then other stuff that I can't talk about.
Okay. Super secret stuff that you can't. Okay. And you were going to.
just, we can't talk about it. But I did want to say conventions are like, I don't know about you, Chuck. I know you have a good time at them. I have an amazing time at them. And people are always asking us, come out to Massachusetts or come out to Ohio. And I just want to always make sure people know that it's not our choice.
Right. You got to be invited.
Decision.
Yeah,
The convention itself invites us, so we'll go wherever guest relations asks for us. We shall appear, but it's really not our decision. It's not a personal thing. We would love to come see everybody. So if you have a convention you love, just let them know who you want to see there, and that's how we can be there to hug you in person.
I've got it on good authority. If you slip a little cryptocurrency Chuck's way, he might just think about it. I don't know.
He's gonna dogs and
yeah, if you send him a virtual Neotron dog, he's gonna show up.
Listen, the Craigslist now has a cryptocurrency okay checkbox, and you can see what you can buy on Craigslist with cryptocurrency. It's a lot of fun.
Venezuela is about to issue its own. Yeah, they're about to issue their own cryptocurrency. So, I'm going to do an entire show on cryptocurrency and more of a focus on the technology over the trading. Sure. But Chuck, you'd be welcome to come and that'd be fun. Okay, well, I want to wrap up here. One last question, and Michelle, I'll let you go, and then Chuck, I'll let you answer. Michelle, do you have a dream project that you would like to work on?
Oh, that's heavy.
I know Shane Plays was high on the list, but you just checked off that. Yeah, you just checked that off your bucket list. So
that's right.
Other than Shane Plays.
Oh, geez. There are so many things I would love to do. You know what my dream project would be to do like Star Trek Continues for real. And
Star Trek Continues the motion picture.
Yeah. To have that be my job to do it. That would be amazing. That'd be amazing.
That's a cool project so that you could continue the tradition of that great mix of good sci-fi and also, discussing issues and, gotcha.
Showing humanity at its best, or what we're striving for.
Yeah, optimism, by goodness. I know these days on TV, optimism may seem in short supply, but it's still out there in some places, folks. And you can always go watch Star Trek Continues. How about you, Chuck? Do you have a dream project?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be working on a couple of them. Hollywood Shakespeare, I produce Shakespeare movies. We just did Twelfth Night.
Cool.
We got a couple other ones that are
and how would people see the 12th Night, or what? Like, is this going to be like on DVD or like what?
You could go to HollywoodShakespeare.com. I believe it's available for download there.
Groovy.
And then there's a couple other projects that are being pitched in the near future that I can't talk about yet, but there are also dream projects. I'm at a point in my life and have faced death enough that if it's not a oh hell yeah, it's a no thank you. So I try to only work on the oh hell yeahs. So
well, cool. Yeah,
they're all pretty much dream projects.
Well, I hope everybody gets to the point in their life where they can just work on that stuff, and the reality of life can fall away a little bit. Everybody should have that time in life where the day to day, got to pay the bills, can back off just a little bit. Just a little bit, and let people work on. I'll tell you my dream project. I mean, and this would change the world. I'd love to be able to take a nap every day. Every day, because I love me a nap. All right, okay, take a nap. Yeah, I love it. I'm not even gonna lie. I love a nap. I wish, and I love America. But I wish we were one of those nations that had a siesta built in.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I'd be all over that. Okay. I have to end on the super awful, obligatory bad joke of the week. Are both of you ready for this? The bad joke of the week?
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. What are Vulcan eyeglasses called?
Spectacles.
Ding, 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 ding. Winner, I'm going to send you a fraction of a virtual dog.
Thank you. One quarter of a virtual Tron dog.
Yes. Vulcan eyeglasses are indeed called spectacles. All right. Michele, a.k.a. Dr. McKennah, and Chuck, a.k.a. Bones. Thanks so much for your time. I know that you're both busy. This has been a pleasure. And you know, I just hope that this show kind of helped reinforce to you how much the fans out there appreciate what you did.
Well, we love them and we thank them for all their support. It's been an amazing run.
It
Excellent.
sure has. We are so incredibly just honored to be accepted in the Star Trek universe, the way that fans have accepted us, and just honored by the amount of love that they are pouring on us in the show. So thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's end on a good, rousing, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
That was pretty that was rousing.
You will continue to reach deeper into the stars. You will explore more new worlds. You will have the privilege of venturing further into the final frontier. You will honor the memory of our fallen comrades by the mission you continue to uphold. My brave colleagues, my friends, after all the adversities that we've encountered in our travels, the greatest adversary, it turns out, is ourselves. Our capacity for the best and the worst. We still have much to learn about what's out there and what's in here. Starfleet will rebuild and expand, and your adventure through the galaxy will continue. I envy you.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.